They're yours. Hit that one more time. I am the number one determinant of the success or failure. Here we go. Of my students. Hey, y'all, you have a strong summer. Kick some butt next year. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's the mindset. That's the attitude. Love you guys.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Come on in. We're in week 83 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. Come on in, folks. Hit that share button while you come in and let them know we are here. Let me see who's here with us this morning. We've got Donna Scherer Gant in the building. We've got Yolanda McKinney, Dr. Roz Gaskins, Lakeisha Mabry, Angel Gates Woodard, KB, Janine Wilkins, all the way from Alaska, Michael Benton, Jennifer Harris, Lisa Holly Beaumont. Happy birthday to your father, 90 years old. Principal Dot Makita Jeter is in the building. Kareem Paul, PhD, is in the building. Cheryl Lynn, Pamela Marcus, Reggie Miller, my man. Principal Tammy Taylor, Demetrius Scott, my man. He's keeping the notes. We'll talk about that, but he's picking up from where Kim Wilson Daniel left off. Demetrius Scott will be keeping the notes for us, so they'll be posted every week, I think. That's how it's going to work, but we'll talk more about that, and just check the page and you'll see what's happening. Tamika Smith, Asa Butte, I think it is. I'm probably messed that up. Edwina Vincent, Lisa B. Woods Herman, Lakeisha Mabry is in the building. Dr. Sheikah Houston's in the building. Andrea Blake, Carrie Eugenia, Jennifer Bortvit Mapes is in the building. Carla, man, y'all giving me some tough names this morning. Caratina Teeny is in the building. Mr. Principal Baggage, that's my man. Carlos Baggage, Alabama, in the building. Jackie Solomon's in the building. My former student, Letitia Anderson Davis, is in the building, man. She was my student in 5th grade back in 19. I'm not going to say the year, Letitia. Stacy Joy 11 Johnson is in the building. Suzanne, man, I'm not even going to try that one. Adam is in the building. Darnell McElveen is in the building. Rashard Davis from Vegas is in the building. B. Dorothea Boyd. Josh Tovar, that's my man. Principal Tovar is in the building. Rachel Wells, let me go quicker. Demetrius, I said, and Demetrius is 83 weeks strong. You know, if somebody on here, if you've been rocking for 83 weeks, let me know. Right, we haven't missed a day, and I've been playing with it in my mind. I'm thinking about coming on for like 15 minutes on Christmas, because Christmas is on a Saturday this year, and I don't want to break that string, right? So I might be on here just talking to myself, but that's okay. I won't break that string. So I haven't made a decision yet, but I'm thinking about 15 minutes on Christmas Day, just coming here with this message, and that way, unbroken string, man. Let me see what we got here. We almost ready to. Sinitra Williams, Katrina Washington's in the building. Candace Norwood, Brian Lee, Ebony Davis Stevenson with that middle initial R. I don't want to miss that. Ricardo Ricketts. There's the Queen, Kimberly Broughton Kafele in the building. Dr. Vanessa Howard's in the building. Rodney Richardson, Tamika. Oh man, I said that one already, so I don't even have to try again. Principal Otis Kitchens in the building. There's my man. Carlos Johnson, that's me, and Ken Williams guy, man. Carlos Johnson in the building. Jocelyn Nelson, Candace Norwood, Freddie Nunez is in the building. Lakeisha Mabry, I'm getting ready to get it started, y'all. Brian Butler's here, and I see the rest of you. Hey, y'all, we got some work to do, so let me say formally to you, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 83. Man, can you believe that? Week 83 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. And as I always say, I don't know about you. I think I know because you tuned in this morning, but I don't know definitively. But I got to let you know how I'm feeling. Right now, in real time, I'm on fire. You didn't hear me. I know you didn't hear me. But let me just say this real quick. Y'all, you watch the news. This was a week of all weeks. It's stuff going on, man. Oh man, it's stuff going on. The stock market crashed. Well, it didn't crash, but the Dow was down over 900 points. That means I lost money yesterday. I'm gonna get it back though. But in real time, I lost money. Now new variants out here, Omicron. Oh man, and then just stuff. But you chose leadership, and I say it every week. Yeah, stuff going on. But you chose leadership. So because you chose leadership, despite the stuff, you still gotta lead. You still gotta lead. And you gotta lead at a high level. So for that reason, I say to you, I'm on fire. Woo! That's how I'm feeling, man. Despite it all, Ken back there laughing at me. I see him. Despite it all, I gotta be, man. My aunt, I don't know if she on here yet, Aunt Judy. She makes these sweet potato pies. Now, I ain't supposed to be eating that, right? You know, I got the diabetes, man. But when I saw it, forget this. I'll run it off right after this broadcast. Numbers just shot up. I said, oh man. Then this morning, it was like one slice sitting there. One. I said, look, don't eat that. And I kept walking past it. Don't eat it. You already up to like 145 and it's early in the morning. Don't eat it. So I walked past it. Yo, it's just a small piece. And then finally, right before I came on, I snatched that bad boy, man. I ate that thing. So I'm going outside and I'm going to walk about 3 miles. My numbers will be down to like 90, 100, right? That's the remedy. No medicine, just the numbers. Look here, y'all. We got a big one today. Let me give you this quick message. My motivational message. What are you reading right now? Once again, what are you reading right now? Look, stuff is going on. We're exhausted, right? It's a different kind of year. It's a different kind of time, but your growth can't stop. You still got to read. You still got to study. You still got to grow. You still got to develop. What are you reading right now? I just got my hands on this here. I should have had it on the desk. The Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings, she wrote 2 books and released them both almost simultaneously. Culturally Relevant Pedagogy. I just got my hands on it. I posted it on my page the other day. This is what I'm reading right now, right? So what are you reading? I'm saying to you quickly, because I got to get to the guests, man. I'm saying to you, look, regardless of what's going on in your world, how busy you are, if you chose leadership, you got to grow, man. And growth is not solely in reading. It's you know, we talk about it all the time, so I don't need to go into detail. But a part of your growth is the reading. So make sure, like maybe it's just a page. Just read a page. Maybe it's a paragraph some days, but read something. Be able to go to sleep at night knowing that you have grown intellectually, professionally that day, right? Don't go to bed and you know nothing more, professionally speaking, than what you knew the day before when you woke up. Make sure you're reading, right? Let's go to the so let me say to you guys, for those of you, however you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. However you celebrate it, I hope it was a great day, but I hope Friday was a great rest day. I hope today is a great rest day. I hope tomorrow is a great rest day. But I appreciate you allowing the virtual AP Leadership Academy to be a part of your day, right? I appreciate that. So to the first timers, because we're always first timers, welcome to week 83. If you want to see the previous 82 sessions, then simply go to my virtual AP Leadership Academy YouTube channel. Go there and subscribe to it and just binge watch them all. I binge watched Colin Kaepernick last night. 6 episodes, man. That's the best TV I watched in a long time. Colin in black and white. So just binge watching. Just go to Virtual AP Leadership Academy and check them out. Let me keep moving. Sunday morning commentary. Remember, the Virtual AP Leadership Academy is 2 parts. It's Saturday, the broadcast, Sunday, the commentary on the Facebook page, Virtual AP Leadership Academy. So make sure you read that every Sunday morning. It coincides, something Ken's going to say today, and then I'll write this commentary to kind of just be an outgrowth of what we discussed today. Real quick, as always, I've written 12, but these are the 2 I show you every week. So the Equity and Social Justice Education 50, man, this thing is blazing. It's so red hot, I can't even hold it in the one hand. I got to put it down, man. It's flying, right? It's blazing. It's red hot. So get yourself a copy. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, principalkafele.com, ascd.org. But while you're at it, make sure that you get the Assistant Principal 50. This one's blazing too, y'all. It's unbelievable, right? So, and that's because of y'all, right? So just, if you don't have it yet, get yourself a copy. That's what it's about. You know, I'm done with these announcements, man. I got a guest. I've been excited about this guest for a while now, and he's here. We're gonna make this hour do what it do. So let me just make a quick adjustment here with my layout here, and then I'm gonna be ready for you. I'm gonna be ready. Where we at? Yeah, here we go. All right. So let me bring up Ken first before I read his bio. This is the man. This is Ken Williams. For those that don't know, but I bet you everybody on this call knows Ken Williams. So before I read your bio, Ken, just let the folks know how you're doing. Unmute.
All right, man, it is a pleasure to be here. All is well. At my age, when you wake up on the right side of dirt, you're playing with house money. I will say, after listening to that introduction, I went from 1 cup of coffee and asked my wife for a second cup. So I'm double fisted. Come correct. Coffee IV going. Looking forward to today.
I appreciate you,
man. Not only doing this broadcast, but 82 weeks. It's just incredible, man. I just sent a whole slew of Atlanta assistant principals, Georgia area principals, assistant principals your way a couple of weeks ago, just based on that, just a wealth of knowledge and experience in this. So honored to be here.
I'm honored. Let me read your bio. Kenneth C. Williams, folks, shares his experience and expertise as a nationally recognized trainer. I might even add the word internationally. So he said nationally, but it's internationally. Trainer, speaker, coach, and consultant in leadership and school culture. A practitioner for nearly 3 decades, Ken led the improvement efforts of 2 schools by leveraging the professional learning communities at work process. Skilled in joining the why of the work to the how of the work. Let's say that again. Skilled in joining the why of the work to the how of the work. That's important. Ken is known for his powerful, engaging combinations of heart, humor, and hammer. Heart, humor, and hammer. He is an expert at helping schools build capacity in the collective commitments required of learning for all cultures. Ken is a former principal of the Learning Academy at E.J. Swint in Jonesboro, Georgia, and Damascus Elementary School in Damascus, Maryland. His firsthand experience with transforming challenged schools translates into action-oriented presentations that inspire hope and create a clear vision and offer practical strategies to those overwhelmed by challenges. Ken earned his Bachelor of Arts degree from Morehouse College and Master of Science from the University of Bridgeport. He is the co-author of the bestseller, Starting a Movement, Building a Culture from the Inside Out in Professional Learning Communities. And before I go further, I might say that I have it sitting right here. So this is the book. So if you don't have it, most of y'all got 2 devices, so just go to the second device while we're do it right now, right? And order your copy, right? Starting a Movement right on Amazon, right? Just get it now. And it's amazing, Ken. Every book I put on the screen, the numbers just skyrocket on Amazon. I watch them like all weekend. It's like, man, people buy these books when I hold them up. So I know I'm in the bio, but again, let me put it right up there so you can see it. Starting a movement, right? Get yourself
Appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir. Get it right now. Get it right now. And we'll talk about his new one coming up soon as well. Let's see. Where was I? Creating physical and emotional safety in schools, and a contributing author of Beyond Conversations About Race. Now, his new book, Ruthless Equity. I want y'all to hear that again. Ruthless Equity. I didn't say equity. I said ruthless equity. That'll be released soon, right? So just keep your eyes open for that one. And then lastly, to learn more about Ken's work, visit Soul online at unfoldthesoul.com and follow Unfold the Soul, one word, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. With that being said, once again, my brother, Ken Williams, welcome to the
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Academy. Hey, man, I know your time is short. Let's jump right into it. You know, hey Ken, get that for me. We in real time, y'all. We got real doorbells ringing, right?
I get it.
So here we go. As an educator, Ken, who is Ken Williams?
Man, oh man. Boy, oh boy. I would say I'm the guide on your side, the coach on your shoulder, and I want to be that person who, there are about 5 people. I'm 53. I can probably identify a person or two every decade who saw more in me than I saw in myself, aside from my parents. And I have a very supportive family. I want to be that person for others. And so I lead with a coach's heart. I coach, Rick DeFore, God rest his soul, is one of those 5 people. And what I loved about him was, if he poured into you, if he gave you a minute of his time, you knew you had to be honored. Now, 10 seconds of that minute is going to be a compliment, and the other 50 seconds is going to be how you need to get better. But it's never about his ego. It's never about cutting you down. It's always about making you great. And so I want to be that coach who, when we point out what's working well and then look at what we need to do, I want to be real straight. I'm a straight shooter. At this point, I don't even start sentences with, let me be honest with you, or may I be frank. I don't know any other way. But I want to do it in a way that that when I point out things where we can get better, it's in the service of getting better, not in the service of breaking you down or shaming and blaming. I don't believe in that. I believe that all of our breakthroughs lie in the hearts, souls, and hands of the adults. It's never about our kids. Kids just provide context, and adults provide the solution. So I want to be that guy that sees more in you than you see in yourself, in the service of ensuring high levels of learning for every student, regardless of background.
Love it. So you're about building people up and coaching them up.
Indeed.
Right? It's taking people to a level. Yeah, that's what Ken Williams is about. Ken, why'd you enter the field of education, and what continues to drive your passion for this work?
Man, oh man. Well, another one of those 5 people. I'll be honest. I went to Morehouse thinking I was going to be a political science major and become a lawyer. I mean, I'm a child of the '80s, and I'm watching L.A. Law. You got a brother, Blair Underwood, got the double-breasted suits, nice car, argues in court, wins all the cases, gets all the girls. You got a Hispanic cat, Jimmy Smits, double-breasted suit, got the nice Porsche, win all the arguments, get all the girls. White cat, Corbin Burnson, same thing. And I'm thinking, I see myself in there. So I went to school thinking I was going to be a lawyer, and then I got scared out of that. And when I graduated Morehouse, I was ready to, take the LSAT. And I had a very influential professor, Dr. Gloria Wade Gales from Spelman College, come to me, and she just said, the children need you. At the time, I was waiting tables, and I waited on this couple who happened to be a principal and her husband. She needed a long-term sub. She liked my manner. She told me I'd make $100 a day. I thought I was going to retire in 2 years, making that kind of money in 1990, and fell in love with it right away. Fell in love with it. And then Dr. Gales found me a graduate program in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where I could work in schools during the day, which would pay for my schooling at night. And I just love it. But my mother, God rest her soul, was a lifetime educator. She was a paraprofessional for reading teachers, but you could not tell her she wasn't a teacher. And I hold that to this day, that anybody who touches the life of a child in the school building is an educator in my book. I know we have different certifications, but walking around Queens, New York, and watching how many adults come by and talk about how my mother helped them learn how to read and how she got in their behinds as well.
Yeah.
It just made everything fun. So I come from a line of educators, and what keeps me going is the fact that I know it's about the adults. And we have so much information in this technology age. We have so much access. Technology's flattened the world. I probably get more support and help from people on Twitter who I'll never meet. Yeah. And I have, like you, I have one hell of a network.
Yeah.
That's how much it's flattened the world. So I just see so much potential if we can get out of our own way, if we can ignore some of the ills of society and kind of close ranks inside the school. I know we can do some incredible things. So those are things that keep me going. And as knocked down as we can feel every once in a while, I don't know, there's something about timing and coincidence. I just will come across a school, a leader, an educator who is just doing it the right way, willing to risk it. And it just restores all my faith in this awesome, noble field we call education.
Love it. And you mentioned that it's not just the certificated people. I think about,
right.
I used to tell my staff all the time, the custodian, security, secretaries, paraprofessional, nurse, kitchen worker, you name it, you're important, not just in terms
Absolutely.
of your job description, but I need you to educate as well. The kitchen worker, when you serve them that tray, serve them a word while you do it simultaneously. So all these people have more significance than just their job title. Their job title is important, but it's more to them than what that job description says.
That's right. And ironically, I always knew that theoretically. And I tried to do that staff appreciation week instead of just teacher appreciation week. But my last school, man, was 95% free and reduced lunch, 95% poverty. And we were in a world of hurt. And we decided to put together a mentoring program that would address the needs of our kids. And it started with, we wanted every student to walk in knowing that there was an adult in that building who was glad they showed up. And I started out with giving out class roles to every teacher and having them highlight, let's start with the students who need it most first, and then we're going to get to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we had more red flags than we had certificated adults. And so I had to reach out to our kitchen staff who literally touch base with their kid when they came through that line. 95% free and reduced lunch means 95% of your kids are coming through that lunch line. Yeah. Our custodians, we had one who was a chess player and loved checkers. And while kids were helping them dump trash, he was teaching them the fundamentals of chess. We had bus drivers who I just revere bus drivers. You got a bus of noisy kids and you're just responsible for their lives. Right. We couldn't ask them to do too much. What we asked them to do is when a kid boards the bus, every third kid just say, what are you reading? And so kids just got in the habit of carrying books. Like nobody wanted to be caught not carrying a book. I'm telling you, we had to get every single person involved. UPS stopped coming into our building for signatures. Like they would just kick boxes from the curb because they stood around the office too long waiting for a signature. They were gonna have a reading group. I mean, that's the way we were rolling. They were like, look, I got a job. These are brown outfit. I got a job. But we had every single person on board, our paraprofessionals, everyone. It was the only way we were gonna make it work. And so I've just been a staunch advocate of every single person in the building. We kind of just shed roles. Like we have certain roles and responsibilities, but after a while it becomes almost like a triage unit. It's like who got what we need, and that person just steps up, whether they have the certification or not.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, I got, I'm still in intro mode. And I still got no, you good. And I still got another intro question, and then we're gonna get into the meat here. When you consider all the reasons that you wanted to become a principal, what's that one that really tugged at you and said, but this is really why I got to do this? Because I only had the one. Everything else was, I want to be a principal. but I had the one that I lost sleep over. What's that one that made you lose sleep and you said, this is why I got to do this?
Yeah. So for me, it wasn't necessarily a negative circumstance that kept me up. It was more the potential.
Mhm.
So one, I've never left a job. I've always just moved on to my next ambition. I've been very fortunate in that way. So as a teacher, I'm thinking to myself, man, like I wasn't the best teacher at anything, but I did come in with what I call indomitable spirit. And I know you have it as well. And here's how I describe it. I never once wondered, even as a neophyte, if I can make a difference. I walked in like I am the difference. That's
Mm.
every day. And then once I realized I couldn't reach every kid, and then I got realized that my teammate is Kafele, then it's like the two of us together, or whoever it is, Diane, Allison, whoever it was. I was just like, we the Avengers. Now, after several years of teaching, 25, 30 kids, I thought to myself, man, if I can impact 25 students, what would happen if I became a principal, an assistant principal, and I was able to lead 25 people who led 25 students? So for me, it was broadening impact. That's what it was for me. It was just like, man, if I can do this with 25 kids, what would happen if I had 25 adults who had 25 kids?
Yeah.
And that idea, it just drove me. And what more kept me up at night was having to change my nature, because my nature is a people pleaser. And you can't be a people pleaser and lead. So
Yeah.
that was my big challenge of, not worrying as much about my approval rating and not getting caught up every day about people liking me, and learning how to be really effective, even if it costs me some approval points in the short run. But that's what it was for me, man. It was broadening my impact, going from 25 to 25 who teach 25.
Love it. And I asked that question of every guest because it's really for the audience, because there are APs out there, but there are
Mhm.
also aspiring APs out there. And I want them to hear that there's just multiplicity of people that have got that one driving reason beyond just the I want to be a principal. There's something personal in there that
That's right.
I want to get in there and I want to lead. I want
That's
to take
right.
this to another level. So those of you out there, think about what's your reason, what's driving you, right, to want to do this work. Because once you're in there, you're in one of the most complicated positions probably on the planet. That's
Yes,
inclusive of the president of the United States.
that's right.
Right? This is not easy work. So you gotta, it goes back to that why. Like why are you doing this in the first place? Because that's really your bloodline, your why.
That's right.
Right? So Ken, with us being in this COVID season, this Delta season, now this Omicron season, right? It's teachers are tired. Everywhere you go, everywhere I go, the operative word is exhausted. That
Yeah.
we're exhausted, Principal Kafele, right? So what I want to ask you, what might an exhausted, overworked assistant principal or principal do for enduring a sense of professional / personal balance?
Yeah. That's an ongoing challenge. One of the things I do is are micro learning videos. They're all between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, 15 seconds long. And what I did recently was on teacher martyrdom, and just being really careful to walk that line where we acknowledge and take care of our people who are clearly overwhelmed without it spilling over into victimhood, which then compromises the work. Right. And I don't want to oversimplify this, but I use this example all the time. I have a very reliable, I drive a couple of really old cars. I drive cars from the 70s. I'm old school, and they need work. And so I got a local mechanic who helps me, and they're great. And the turnaround time is fantastic. But during the COVID season, they had to cut back on staff. Like, they had to lay some folks off. They had to reduce the number of their services. They had to reduce some of their hours. And a job that would take one day was sometimes taking 3 days. And I could give grace for that. I can give grace for that. But if I send the car in for a brake job or an oil change, right? And when I pick the car up after 3 days, I can give them that grace. But if my oil crankcase is full of transmission fluid, right, or window wiper fluid, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
We're going to have a problem, and COVID is not going to be an excuse, because keeping cars running is their fundamental purpose. And so they've reduced staff, they reduced the number of service offerings, they've lengthened the time of service, but they still stay with their fundamental purpose. And that's was their way of helping their staff through this very stressful time. One of our colleagues, Paula Maker, was a fantastic instructional coach and leader. She works side by side with collaborative teams. So like you and I are walking in, we see the big picture. She is right there with teams. And what she came up with this thing she calls half and hone. So we can't give in so much to the overwhelm that we get away from our fundamental purpose, which is to ensure learning. So instead of, if we were used to covering this before COVID, let's say if all we could cover was half, what's the most important half? Let's identify that and hone in on it. And then if we got any time left over, we can add more from that other half. And it just gave teachers permission to acknowledge that we're probably not going to get to everything this year. And, you know, these are gifts of COVID. We've been complaining about teachers having too much to teach in too little time, but we've been deathly slow about less is more. COVID has forced us into that. So the one way that APs and principals can help teachers is to just what I call constrain the property. So you're looking at the screen now. Kafele's in a rectangle. I'm in a rectangular box. When you put that in your PowerPoint or Keynote and you grab the corner and you pull it in, it's a smaller rectangle, but it's got the same proportions. So we got to stay with teaching and learning while taking care of our people.
I love it. You guys hear that? So, you know, always, you know, just to kind of draw the analogy, you got to look at what you did in 2019, 20, or through 2020 and beyond earlier, and look at where you are now. It's a different time. So you may not be able to be who you were back in early 2020, who you were 19, 18, 17, 16. You've got to pivot.
That's right.
Right. So when I think about the analogy you just drew with, you know, we shrink the box proportionally. So we're doing the work, but we're doing it somewhat differently because we're in a different time. And folks have to remember that in terms of being able to strike and maintain that balance in the work. Because this is you know, I'm not in there like you guys on the call. I'm you know, I'm the one that comes in to kind of provide solution, but I can only imagine what that is. And in just looking at it, I know if I was in that role, I can't be Principal Kafele of 2019. That's not going to fly. I gotta be Principal Kafele of 2021. That's a different guy. That's probably a whole lot of reinvention within the process in order to adapt to the times we're in moving forward. And Ken, you know, you are unequivocally recognized as one of the professional learning community gurus across the country. I mean, that's just undeniable, right? What exactly are PLCs, and what are the disadvantages to schools that don't have them? Kind of, but I decided I wanted to word it that way.
No, I appreciate that, and your description is humbling. I've definitely learned at the feet of gurus, and I present on things I've screwed up 1,000 times. So I really that's how I get great at stuff, is I present on stuff I've screwed up 1,000 times. PLCs at bottom is this: in a culture of belongingness and inclusion, organizing to ensure students master essential learning outcomes. That's it. One of the challenges of PLCs is that we often start with all the moving parts without ever seeing the whole. We got to begin with the end in mind. The end in mind is, we said every student has to know how to make this water bottle and label by the end of 7th grade. How do we organize to ensure every student masters that, no matter who they are, who their daddy is, where they're from, what apartment they live in, what language they speak or don't speak, what income their parents have or don't have. All of that is context. There are certain, now, we don't have to have every student be able to make this phone. That's for some kids. And that's okay, but we're saying every kid's got to know how to make this water bottle.
Yeah.
And so as soon as all is a part of it, that's when you become a PLC. So organizing to do that. The disadvantage is right there in your face. What it is no one teacher has all the answers. And I don't. You got Marva Collins, Jaime Escalante, Aaron Gruel, Lorraine Monroe.
Yeah.
No one teacher has all the answers to ensure learning for every student. So in a PLC, the only reason you collaborate is because we got a learning proposition that involves every student. That's what a PLC is. Now, unfortunately, because we start with the moving parts too often, when I go to schools and I ask what a PLC is, I get SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, results oriented, and time bound. And I'll say, how's the PLC going? We've been doing it for 7 years. How's it going? It's going well. As evidenced by what? Tell me why it's going well. Well, we meet. We got genders. We fill out every week. We do assessments, and we talk about kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we never get to that bottom line. This is a PLC, organizing to ensure every one of Kafele's 30 students masters this, right? And his teammate who's got 30 students. So they put their heads together and they're sharing data in the service of getting closer and closer to every student mastering the content. Teachers share results because he's doing something that not only are his kids thriving on that assessment, but he's got several kids with IEPs who are thriving. So what are you doing that will help me move my students along? That is all the work is about. The bottom line is mastery of essential learning outcomes. And so when you don't engage in that process, when you got an all proposition, we got something all kids have to learn, and you don't have teachers collaborating effectively, then it is educational malpractice.
Absolutely. When you said that, with you being that Giants fan you are, I mean, I am too. But
Moment
the
of silence,
world, I know, right? I'm a big Blue fan too, but the world doesn't know it. The world knows I'm a big Blue fan, right? So I thought, in what you said in terms of keeping the end in mind, and it's about winning. It's about the Super Bowl, right? So every team when they return back, it's about we go into the Super Bowl and go and win it. But then so that's the first order of business. Like, what are we about here? And now let's put the process in place. And that's
I ask all the time. Sometimes in my sessions, I'll find a football coach, right? And I'll get his springtime football drills and I'll post them. And people look at them and they start sweating because it's insane. It's insane, the number of up downs and all those hellish exercises and drills, 2-a-days. And I ask, why would any person engage in that? How do coaches get players to engage in that madness?
Yeah.
And after a while, we kind of piddle around, but then they hit it. That coach is talking about, we're going to make the championship. We're going to be in the playoffs for the first time. We're going to win the state. We're going to win states. We're going to have a winning record for the first time. He's selling them on the bottom line, the vision, right? Something that's so compelling, they're willing to go through that pain. Because without that vision, without that bottom line, without that end goal, who would engage in that madness? And teaching and learning is much the same way. It's complex work. But when you got a kid from the hood, lots of disadvantages at home, coming to school with tons of deficits, but we're saying he's got to learn how to do this in order to have any shot in this country, which we know the X factor is education in whatever form it comes. Then we got to engage in those insane drills. And because, right, instead of just falling prey to, that Ken's from Queens, from hood in Queens, and Kafele's from, he's from Jersey, those kids, but you had the brother, right? That's the easy way out. We got to sell them on that vision. What are we doing this for? You're so right about that bottom line.
Hey, it's interesting. You mentioned the videos, those short videos that you make. I'm usually I'm very transparent with this broadcast. I want to be transparent here in terms of how I prepare for these broadcasts. So I went to your group page, and I forget the exact name, but you could say it. And I went there and I scrolled all the way back to a year ago, and I literally watched every video. Now I see most of them in real time when you post them.
Yeah.
But I'm not preparing for anything. So I literally watched every video. So when you said the martyrdom just now about 10 minutes ago, I wouldn't have known what that meant until you gave context. But now, because of the way I prepared for this, that's one of the questions. I sat here and watched every video from the past year that you made, and you make a lot of them videos, right? So here's the thing. You just said that I caught the way you said this. You said that madness, right? That madness. So it took me right to my next question, which is number 6. I'm doing 12, folks, by the way. So you guys, you got a sense of how long this will be. I'm not going to go too long. I said you often speak of that school, right? Yeah. So when you said that madness, I said, man, he right where I'm at with that school. You often speak of that school in your district. Question to you is what is meant by that school, and what leadership advice do you have for an assistant principal or principal that works in that school?
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I love our field. I'm an optimist, but sometimes we mirror the best parts of our society outside of school, and sometimes we mirror the worst parts. And when I talk about that school, that's an example of our worst parts. Because in our largest society, we are so quick to rank, sort, and select based on how we're different. And we are still slaves to the bell-shaped curse that there's got to be a low group. There's got to be. And so that school represents that low group, that dumping ground. There's always got to be that crap school in the district that gets dumped on, that's in that neighborhood, or the lines were redistricted for those kids. And I was in that school, and I led that school, and I refused. And we had a shared vision. But that was the hardest part for me, is not to come in and just run everybody over with my vision. Yeah. Like, I had to bring everybody on board, but my message was clear. Yeah. Like, we put our pants on like the private school across town, and we talented like they are. And so we are high performing in spirit today and in results tomorrow. And what happens is, too often, that school has a stink on it. And then the staff unknowingly takes on that stink. Mm-hmm. And a couple of things happen. One, we don't believe there's any hope because of who we're serving, right? Or two, we don't believe we have the goods to dig ourselves out of the abyss. But every district's got that school. I worked in a high-performing district a few weeks ago, and they even have that school. We always look, it's just part of our human nature to believe that there's got to be that dumping ground, and that school ends up being that way. Is that Tammy Taylor? Tammy Taylor knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Tammy Taylor knows what I'm talking about. I'm not going to. Dr. Sheikah Houston, she knows. We've had these talks, right? And Tammy, I'm not trying to blow folk up, but Tammy Taylor's in the right place at the right time, because she's at a school at one point I don't know who's from her district listening. I'm gonna just keep it like that. I'm just saying, Tammy Taylor knows what I'm talking about, and you got to come in with a vision to move past it. And it's not easy. I maintain that none of this work is all this work is complex. I worked at a super high performing school that I had to convince to go from good to great. Yeah. Right. And they're wondering, like, why we're at 92%. I'm thinking, well, 8% of your parents don't think your school's great. We got 8% of your kids, and then we looking at the 8%. That's a curious 8%. And then for schools like one I led, and Dr. Houston's led, and Dr. Taylor's led, it's convincing folks that we can be better based on us, not the kids and where they're from. But I maintain, you get one of those schools turned around, you can teach anywhere. There's nothing you cannot do. It's a superpower, which is why I'm so convicted. Because what our staff was able to do, and I know you're the same way, because you've been through the same thing. It's a superpower.
Yeah. I mean, my mindset, and you guys out there in StreamYard land, hear me well. You know, that school exists, but it doesn't have to exist under your leadership.
That's right.
Right. That's a decision. That's not a circumstance.
That's right.
That's a decision. You have to make the decision that we are going to be that high performing school. Right. That's not, oh man, I inherited this circumstance and I don't know what I can do about it. It's too much information out here. Right. It's too much good strategy out here. It's a decision. To be great is a decision. To be phenomenal is a decision. That's what it is. Right. So, you know, you take that and run with it. But you know, it's interesting the way this conversation's flowing, Ken, and me watching your vids. Like, watch this next question. Number 7. You say that it's about the talent in the room. That's the next question, right? And that's what you just said. You say it's about the talent in the room. So watch this. I'm gonna throw this little monkey wrench at you. As an AP, how do I develop the talent in the room if seemingly, and I'm putting emphasis on this word seemingly, if seemingly I never have time to get into the room, meaning in this case, the classroom?
Listen, man, I talk with APs, I talk with principals all over, and often I ask the filtering questions. Well, the first question is typically, are you an AP aspiring to be a principal? And whether you are or not, it doesn't make a difference to me, because some want to be career APs, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate. I worked in my district was in such a dysfunction that I could do stuff flying beneath the radar. And I told my AP from day one, she wanted to be a principal. I was like, I'm going to treat you like a co-principal, much like Brian Butler talks about. And so, listen, there are always going to be AP duty. There's always going to be stuff that the principal takes off their plate and puts on the AP's plate. But if your AP if you're not coaching them up to lead a school, whether it's because you're absent or they want to be a principal, it's tragic. It's tragic when I talk with APs and they have all these other duties except leading collaborative teams, supporting teachers directly, right? It's all behavior and all testing and all articulation. It's criminal. So that said, I don't do victimhood.
Right.
So I always encourage, sometimes that's done because it's always been done that way. And it takes an AP to either ask or suggest an alternative. And I'll tell our APs the way I used to tell my teachers, look, your best chance at getting a yes is if you come with one or two things: a solution or some work boots, baby. You got to come with some steel toes or a solution. So APs, if you got an idea of how you can get into classrooms, even if you identify a small team and you just get some practice work, some reps, come with a solution, right? Rather than say, how can I get into more classrooms, or I'd like to be in more classrooms, say that I've identified a team who's willing to have me come in once a week and support them, because I'll be their chief hunter gatherer. And I just want to see if you're cool with it. And here's how it would look. All the principal wants to know is, whatever you asking, are you adding to my plate or sliding something off? You are halfway home if you come with work boots, which means you're willing to work on a solution, or a solution. But if you can't do it on a grand scale, find a team or two. Find a few willing teachers who are willing to let you come in and do some action research in terms of how to support, how to hunt and gather what they need, how to calibrate behaviors and practices and protocols. Yeah, so you don't want to sit in victimhood, but yeah, if there are principals on this call, please get your folks coached up. Treat them like co-principals or emerging principals, and give them those responsibilities that'll help them lead a school in your absence or in their next, employment endeavor.
And let me reiterate what you just said to the principals, because there are many principals on this call, and more will see the videos throughout the course of forever. And a principal, as Ken just said, coach that AP up. Don't relegate that AP to the school disciplinarian, the inventory clerk, the duty person, the cafeteria person,
Come on now.
and that individual evaluates 25 members of your staff,
Come on now.
teaching staff, it doesn't work. So you're scratching your head. How are we going to fix this problem? You inviting Ken in, you inviting me in, you inviting all these folks in, and the problem is you.
Yeah.
You've got a high performing individual on your team called an assistant principal. You are misusing and underutilizing that individual.
And listen, you said
this.
something at the very beginning when you talked about how complex this work is.
Yeah.
Even more complex. You talked about the presidency. And the reason I think it's that way is because the principal has the greatest one, you serve in several stakeholder groups, right? You like that place in the middle of the bike wheel, and you got community, district, parents, students, so forth and so on. But just take your leadership. Walmart, Target has better leadership structures in schools. It's the principal and the AP, and you are leading 18 stakeholder groups. Walmart's got a head cashier, right? Got a lead clerk, got a head custodian, right? But principal. So if you've got an AP, I mean, utilize them that way to at least cut down on the span.
Yeah.
The span of leadership, because it's honestly, it's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. And I don't care what size the school is. No industry works that way. There's cascading leadership in just about every industry, but the principalship, like you're leading 18 different stakeholder groups in a building.
Yeah. I love it. And keep moving. Along the same lines, you've indicated that you're done with talking about the demographics and population, and population is a reason why students aren't learning, and instead your focus is on the adults, as you said earlier. Please elaborate then on your reasoning for that attention.
I mean, something hit me about 7 or 8 years ago. Every time, because I do some work in the morning, and I present on the why and the work, and then we take a break, and a couple of teachers would always come up and say, "This sounds really good." And I said, "Thank you." And say, how many kids do you have at your school, Ken? I say 733. Oh, we have 735. It's not going to work at our school. And then I hear things, well, with our population and our demographic, and all that means is that some poor white kids, black kids, and brown kids have moved into your area. That's all that means. And it becomes a built-in excuse not to get the work done. It is always about the adults. And in Ruthless Equity, which you can find information about, ruthlessequity.com, I talk about how, listen, we live, I don't care what the news says, we live in the first world. Like, we got first world conveniences. Like, we got to make up problems to have this at this point, right? We're not running from saber-tooth tigers. No one's chasing us to our car. We're not running down buffaloes to make meat this afternoon while we watch the Ohio State game. We're not doing that. So we got to manufacture urgency. And we do when we believe kids are worth it, when we believe circumstances warrant it. When the human being we are at our most creative, our most innovative, our most focused. We are at our best when our back is to the wall and we decide the only way out is that way. And that's what the work is about. It's not about the kids and where they're from. Because every one of us has been in a situation where the math is not working out. Stuff is not adding up. Things are not logical. Like, all of the logic says this should not happen. And you know what we do? We close our eyes for a second and we black out with our eyes open, and we make it happen. Because mission kicks in when the math stops working. That's what mission is about. There's a door behind me. When we're done, I'm going to walk through that door. I'm going to get our car packed up, and I'm going to head to Queens. I don't need mission to get to that door, right? But we talk about all kids learning, or changing the narrative of a school. That's mission driven, because all the math says they're from Jersey, they're from Queens, they got these circumstances, under resources aren't there. We had like all the stuff, the poverty, right? The deficits. But when we decide, which means in my world, in the world of ruthless equity, decide means to put all other options to death. When the human being does that, get out of the way, because we become unstoppable. And every single person on this call has been in a situation like that in their personal life and professional life where you made it happen. And that's what mission is about. We can't do that with every single standard in the curriculum, but the ones we deem absolutely essential, those are the ones we have to click into that mode. So it is never about the kids. Never. Kids provide us context for our response. That's why I tell my folks all the time. Our kids' backgrounds provide context for our response. But that's never going to be the reason. I don't know. I don't know if it's arrogance. I don't know what it is. But there's no way something in a damn folder or somebody's report or PDF is going to tell me what kids can do. And I know you rock the same way.
Yeah.
Because this is crazy.
Absolutely.
I was a fan of this dude when I got into education. The Bookers, I got into education, and Kevin and Alicia Booker were like, "You familiar with Kafele?" I was like, "I don't know Kafele." I started following this cat, right? And I stayed 3 or 4 steps behind him with my finger in his belt loop for a couple of decades now. But I know he rocks that way. I know you rock that way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So again, for someone out there, I hope you heard what was just said. It's the children provide context, Ken said. It's not about the demographics. It's not about the population. It's about the talent in the room. So your role is, I mean, here, look, I haven't held up my mirror yet. Your role, what is it about the person in your mirror that's making that teacher great? What is it about the person in not my mirror, but your mirror that's making that teacher a phenomenal teacher? What is it about the person in your mirror that's making you a phenomenal leader? And if those aspects are in place, the children will work that through. The various different challenges that come into the building, but you got to go here. And while you're here, you got to stay locked in it. That self-reflection is critical. So with that, and I'm moving quick only because of time, because I know you got a tight one today.
Yeah.
But
I apologize, brother.
Yeah. No, we good. But you say that the starting place with equity is a sense of belonging in the classroom, right? You see, I watched them videos, man, and
you do, brother. I got to give you a lot of credit, man.
Videos toward having difficult, uncomfortable conversations with staff, however, particularly around issues of race. I'm adamant, this is me now, that the same holds true for the adults in the building, that they must feel as they belong as well. That's me now. So now my question,
absolutely.
So my question to you is, what are your thoughts on leadership focusing on belonging as a starting place for difficult conversations with staff?
It's a must. Listen, y'all don't know this, but like off camera, this man's been in my behind about this book being published. You know what I'm saying? Like I see him and I just jump like this, and my wife's like, "Don't be afraid. You can talk to him," because I know what's coming. The book is supposed to be out in November. My man Corey Radish out of New Jersey, Jersey boy, I put out a video on belongingness, just almost like an afterthought. And then he said, "Hey, have you read this article?" I read this article by Floyd Cobb and Crownapple, Cobb and Crownapple, which led me to their book, which led my book to be delayed because I realized that they were onto something. This is the missing link of equity work. Equity work is way too focused on anti, and it's not aspirational. We rarely talk about what we want. We keep talking about what we don't want. But the other missing piece of equity is, if you don't feel like you belong somewhere, how can you ever feel a part? How can you ever feel a part? And Kafele, you're absolutely right. We're talking about students and adults. Listen, I was on a call last week with Irvine Schools in California, and I asked the question, recall a time where you felt compelled to change something about yourself or hide something about yourself in order to fit in. And the stories from the adults, which I've gathered, going to include in the book, it's heart-wrenching. And we've all done it, and we've all been there. Listen, if I ask the folks on this call, you ever walk into PD and feel like you've either being talked down to or you don't feel like you belong? You think that man sat and he did a roll call, 4,700 names before he got started. He took 5 minutes. That's about belonging, even virtually.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing to press flesh when we're all in the same room and I'm saying hello and we're greeting. This man is greeting folks. I love that. That's belongingness. Folks have to feel like a part of it. So in a nutshell, it's changed a little bit of my language. Like, I don't use the word minority anymore, because how can you feel a part of the whole if you're minor?
Yeah.
I'm careful about the word subgroup. Sub is under. How can you feel a part of the majority if you're sub?
Yeah.
Struggling learner. I did a video on struggling learners, and it said, if I were 8 years old with my 53-year-old mind and you called me a struggling learner, my response would be, do I suck at everything?
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say about it is the key to belongingness, and this is counterintuitive, because when Kafele and I were growing up, back in the day, you'd hear somebody speak Spanish, and it was nothing to hear somebody say, speak English, you're in America.
Right.
Right? But now you can't open a package of anything and pull out the instructions and not see 8 different languages. Right? Sometimes you see commercials that end in English and then they'll give you the quick Spanish version. That's an example of inclusion. What the authors talk about and what I write about is belongingness isn't about the new person coming in and conforming to the existing culture. It's about the existing culture becoming fluid enough to fold the new person in. And that's where some of those hard conversations come up, because we got to change some stuff up and change paradigms. How many movies do you see where mom and dad get a promotion, they move to a new town, and a teenager goes to school? You know the rest of the story. The teenager sits out like a sore thumb. Nobody's eating with this new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that reverse. When we bring people in, then we can get away. We can get away from artificial diversity, which is another controversial subject.
Yeah.
Right? We need more Black men doing great podcasts, so we just throw Kafele in there. We've not changed any mindsets or paradigms. Let's create an environment so inclusive that we attract a Kafele. Because when we just place him there and we say we need more women in sciences and we just place women there, you're not changing paradigms, you're not changing belief systems, and you got a bunch of people wondering whether they're there because they're women. Or is he there because they're Black? There's nothing worse than walking into a room and wondering if you're there because you're Black or because you're fill in the blank. And there's nothing worse than when you know you're there on merit, but people across the room are wondering otherwise. And you know what? I can't even get fully mad at those people, because I get why. And it's because diversity is it's a well-intentioned initiative, but it keeps us from doing what Kafele just talked about, which is really answering the questions of, why is our environment such that we don't naturally attract these people? We instead just put them in place and reduce them to symbols.
Yeah. You know,
I'm sweating.
Yeah, it's so much I want to say, but when we bring you back for part 2, we'll elaborate on a lot of this stuff.
Please, let's do that. Please, let's do that.
That's a definite. But to the folks on the call, man, the comments are coming like rapid fire. And for the newbies, I'm just going to say to you, I spend my afternoons reading all the comments, because we're on 4 platforms: 2 Facebook, 1 Twitter, and YouTube. So I read all afternoon. I just read everything that's said, and I respond to the ones that are worthy of me responding to. But I'm saying that for this reason, and some of you heard me say this last week. That person that got on my case, they had the audacity, might be on here now. I say it in fun, but you said it. Had the interview with Todd Whitaker was good, but it would have been better if Principal Kafele was paying attention. So I'm looking at the comments, and so just seeing how people are reacting to the guest, and the person blasted me, right? So I've been haunted ever since, and I'm missing a lot of the comments because I don't want somebody else to put that kind of stuff on the screen, right? So let me keep going. Hey,
man, you're the man in the arena. There are always ways we can get better, but I always kind of filter things with, all right, is this a person who's doing or just consuming and criticizing? There's always room for improvement, but you're the man in the arena. You put yourself out here on several platforms. I'm a big fan of the Teddy Roosevelt passage, the man in the arena. So
there you go.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, right.
That's someone from the stands. They up in the stands. You're in the arena putting yourself out there.
We putting out this free game and they criticizing.
Yeah, like, Please send me your podcast so I can see how it's done.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I don't have a podcast. I'm just sitting up here unshowered watching yours and criticizing. That's what's happening.
That's it. Hey, let me keep going. Ken, you're known to say that schools must start with the crown.
Yes, sir.
Dang. As it relates to ensuring that equity is a reality in the classroom, what does start with the crown mean, and how does it look in practice in the classroom?
All right. So starting with the crown is equity at work. PLC is an equity initiative. It's been for 45 years. Starting with the crown is this. When we've got content that students need to learn, without a crown, we're left as teachers to try to decide who can and who can't, who can learn this and who can learn that. That is a dangerous game and a slippery slope at the beginning of instruction. What you want is equity. So let's say my hat is a crown, and my hat has written across it the 5 fourth grade math standards that every student has to master in the second marking period. 5. We're going after 15 of them. But out of the 15, we've identified 5 that 5th grade teachers have helped us with, and they say every kid's got to master these 5. Make sense? Those 5 become the crown. And the crown, and I got this from a quote off the back of Morehouse College brochure back in 1984. Morehouse holds above the head of her students a crown she challenged would grow tall enough to wear. So with those 5 standards, those are the 5 every kid's got to get. You hold that crown in place, and then your work is to organize with your teammates, your team teachers, and grow students to that crown. For APs and principals, you ought to hunt and gather everything teachers need to grow every student to that crown. Because once you decide there are 5 things every 4th grader's got to master in the second marking period, then the question of can they or can't they is moot. It's gone. It goes out the window because you've deemed these things essential. So that's what it means to start with the crown. It's challenging work. It's complex work, but you don't want the opposite. You don't want the burden of trying to figure out what someone's potential is. That's not your business. Now, beyond those 5, kids are going to separate themselves.
Yeah.
I pride myself. My friend Reggie DeRoche he was just appointed the president of Rice University in Houston. Reggie's a bad man. 25 years at Georgia Tech. When there was a major earthquake, his bridge design is his specialty. When there's a major earthquake in the world, like in Haiti, the government flies that cat there. I've known him 40 years. 40 years I've known him.
Wow.
Like we sitting in cars in high school together, like farting in cars and then just like rolling the windows up and torturing one another. He and I took the same algebra class in 9th grade. I think if the crown was here, I hung on to algebra with my cuticles, baby. I didn't learn a thing above what's essential in algebra. I barely got out, but I got out with enough to go on to the next math. Reggie has a penchant for math and science. He went above the crown. He outgrew the crown and was fitted with a new one. Wow. Right? And it's gone on to inform his career. But we both walked out of there with what was essential to move on to the next math. That's what starting with the crown means. So the crown is made up of what is essential for every student to master. That's the hands part. That's the execution part. The mindset part is once you decide that, there is no can they or can't they. And I don't care who you're thinking about. You want another video? Even your Melvins. All your Melvins. Because I know what you're thinking about right now. Even Melvin. All your Melvins. Once you decide something is essential, it's essential for every student. Much like your adults, APs, principals, there are things you want every adult to know and be able to do, even though you got a span of skill and experience, you got a span of competency, you got a span all over the place. But there are certain things that every teacher, every staff member must know and be able to do. And what you do is you grow every one of them to and through it. That's equity at work. That's what it looks like in practice. Decide what's essential and then look at each other and say, no one's getting out of here without it. And we're going to do everything we can while still having a life to make it happen.
Starting with the crown.
Yes, sir.
You know, I had two more questions, but I got one because you know, it was the martyrdom, and you dealt with that. So I got this last one, and we blow through those BAM questions. That's a quick rapid question. So hang in there with us, folks, and then you guys got those of you the college football fans, you'll catch the whole game. Here we go, Ken. You created this word selequity.
Yes, sir.
And you created the term ruthless equity, which is the title of your forthcoming book, ruthlessequity.com. You are also passionate about both. What do you mean? What do both mean, and what are the implications for effective AP leadership?
Yeah. So selequity is, as you mentioned, I do a video on it, selective equity. And I found this a whole lot more in the beginning where, out in the world, outside our schools, we're dealing with global issues, institutional racism, microaggressions, bias, all those things, white supremacy, all those things. And I don't deny the existence of them. But my thing has been with schools, let's start in our own kitchen. Let's start in our own kitchen, because I heard a lot of conversations about them and they and them out there. And I keep saying, hey, that's selective. Your kids today, you're not going to dismantle white supremacy. I want you to dismantle ability groups. Let's start at home. What you got going on here that we can affect right now? In other words, I know littering is a problem in the world. I know it is. I can't solve it myself. But I got a gum wrapper, and I'm going to make sure not to throw it on the ground. And if I walk outside this afternoon and I see a soda can, I'm going to pick it up and throw it away. I'm going to do my part. Start at home with things that we can change at our school that will affect these kids today. That's how you get away from selequity. And my other one is cosmequity, which is the optics of equity. That's not dealing with the tough questions, but instead starting a diversity library at your school. Like, putting 200 books of authors of color and kids of color is fine if you are also engaging in equitable practice, like starting with the crown. But if all you're doing is a diversity library and talking about more people than Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks in February, that's not equity. That's cosmequity, cosmetic equity. What was the other one you said? Ruthless equity, ruthless.
Yeah.
So here's what ruthless is rarely associated with anything positive. But I want you to think about this. I know the Winter Olympics are coming up and the Summer Olympics passed. Aside from the performance of the athletes themselves, I love the backstories. And you hear about the sacrifices they make. Kids getting up at 5 a.m, going to 2 hours of practice, coming home, quick shower, then they're off to school, and then they're out of school at 3:30, and they got 2 more hours of practice. What I maintain is, to be excellent at anything, you cannot give your time, attention, and focus to everything. And in fact, you must become ruthless. You have to be ruthless about the things that matter and ruthless about the things that don't matter. And so those athletes are ruthless about what's going to get them to their goal. And they are equally ruthless about cutting away the stuff that's going to impede their progress. And we must do the same thing with equity. I mean, I don't know how many times I'm going to use the same example. You got 2 kids, you got Ken and Baruti, the kids from the hood, the black men in America. We know the story, right? You're going to hear all sorts of things coming in on this side of your ear about what they can't do and where they're from and what they look like and who their mama is and daddy is and the neighborhood they're from. But on this side, you got to be ruthless about the stuff that matters, which is connecting with that student. I don't care what you look like. Because if I line up those 5 people I talked about earlier, some of them are going to blend into my Christmas picture and others aren't. Mm-hmm. So it's about authentically connecting with them, reaching inside them and bringing out their best. That's what you have to be ruthless about, but equally ruthless about cutting away the stuff when people are in your ear about, why are you worried about the Kafeles? And, you know that family, or, possibly believing that there's certain groups of folks who can't learn like others, even though that's a social construct that people have made up themselves. You got to be ruthless about it. You also have to be ruthless about when you start executing new practice, there's an implementation dip, right? You got to be ruthless about not letting short-term results deter you from tossing it aside and going back to what you know. You got to be relentless about momentum, You got to be relentless about starting with the crown. You got to be relentless and ruthless about those things. So that's the context of there's a ruthlessness to excellence. That's the bottom line. To be excellent, you must be ruthless. And so equity is about excellence, and there's a ruthlessness to excellence.
I love it, Ken. That's great stuff. You know, I left this one up. Tonya Shelby asked, will this information be shareable? Tonya, it's on whatever platform you're watching. You can share it, right? Well, let me not say that. If you're watching it on Virtual AP Leadership Academy, Principal Kafele, Virtual AP Leadership Academy on YouTube or on Twitter, then yes, but the YouTube in particular, the videos are right there, right? So yes. And then in terms of Ken's work, he's going to give all his information in a second. Ken, let's go through these questions real quick. 21
right.
5, bam, questions, one word or one sentence max, all right? We do this real quick. Is education on the right path for underserved children?
No, but we're working on it.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Whew, man, you should have sent me these in advance. These hurt. I have to believe they are, but we got work to do. I have to believe they are. It's the only thing that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Does your work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It would be the same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Because not often enough, but every once in a while, I see a breakthrough. I see that ruthless teacher. I see that ruthless principal AP, and they come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And that restores all my energy and gets me out of bed again.
What keeps you fired up about this work?
Educators. And, breaking through, getting better, and educators making progress.
What do you love about the work you do?
I love the coaching aspect. I love being that guide on the side, the coach on your shoulder. My work is thinking about the thinking of the work. And I love the metacognitive piece of it. Anthony Muhammad and you have been real like shepherds in my development.
Appreciate you. What do you dislike about your work, about the work you do?
I dislike the fact that we create the future, and yet sometimes we are the slowest to change. Like that juxtaposition. And I'm moving COVID aside because we were forced to change. Mm-hmm. But we are often the slowest to change. And that contradiction drives me crazy because we create the future.
Yeah. What has been your greatest victory in this work?
Boy, oh boy. Organizing our staff to change the narrative of our school. Like we were that school. School.
I'm sorry. What was your greatest mistake?
Boy, oh boy. My greatest mistake was being more caught up in my ego and likability early on. Trying to be a friend to everybody and not realizing that when you become a leader, your title changes the dynamic. I just did a podcast on that very thing last week. Go ahead.
Okay. What has been your greatest challenge?
My greatest challenge is continuing to learn and not ever feeling like you've learned enough, being a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. When you've accomplished some things, sometimes, hunger comes out in different ways. You know what I mean? When I was trying to put food on the table, my hunger was one way. Now, my kids aren't starving and I've got to tap into different sources.
That short answer now.
Yes, sir. That's it.
All right. Next one. We're almost done. Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
I am. Yes. I'm proud of it.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes. Well, lots of room to improve. Lots.
Who inspires you?
Boy, oh boy. The spirit of Rick DeFore, my wife, Nicole. my family, and then mentors, colleagues, and friends like you.
I appreciate you. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading Belongingness and a Culture of Dignity. Belongingness through a Culture of Dignity, the Keys to Successful Equity Implementation by Cobb and Crown Apple.
All right. What book do you recommend for our viewers?
Honestly, that book, because it highlights the basic link of equity.
Give that title one more time then.
Belongingness through a Culture of Dignity. Belonging through a Culture of Dignity by Cobb and Crown Apple.
5 more. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I want there to be, I want to help more schools. I want to help more of that school breakthrough. Haven't accomplished, don't have enough yet.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally now?
No, but I'm grateful for what I've done. You know, it's one of those things. Like no, but I'm grateful for every experience. I'm grateful for where I am.
Makes sense. What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
There's a difference between victimized and victimhood. Sit back and figure out if there's a smaller version of what you want to accomplish, and then take steps to make that happen.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Quiet the noise and get back to why. Go back to why you got into this work. What is it? What was it about this work that drew you? And then go from there.
And the last one. If Ken Williams was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Accomplishing anything is about taking swings. And once you decide, it means to put all other options to death.
Love it. Hey, it's so much I wish we had time to elaborate, but we got it next time. Listen, Ken, tell the folks how they can get in touch with you, how they can book you, how they can get your books and your new book. Tell them everything.
Excellent. So
hit that share button, somebody hit that retweet. We're still on live.
Appreciate it. My website is unfoldthesoul.com. It's down there in the crawl. You can find out about the book, ruthlessequity.com, and there's a little space. You can just get your email there, and then once we release it, we'll send out an announcement. I do a podcast. It's a one-man show. It's based on 3 years of daily journals I kept that are uncensored, raw, and uncut. And I read a passage. It's called the Bless His Heart Leadership Podcast. And you can find a link at the website, or you can just go to Apple or Spotify. And if you're interested in talking more about how we might be able to partner, go to unfoldthesoul.com/contact. Reach out. Let's set up a time to meet via Zoom and see if I'm a match for your outcomes. Oh, I have a YouTube channel that I never talk about, Unfold the Soul. And that's where all my micro-learning videos are. Feel free to use them and leverage them with staff to move the mission forward.
All right. So you got all the information, folks. And of course, you can rewind this if you missed anything and just see how to get in contact with Ken. Hey, Ken, I know you're running, but I thank you immensely for being here. And this was another phenomenal conversation. I'm looking forward to a follow-up and even a panel discussion. We'll get all that done. So real quick, I'm going to just keep you right up and just go through this last phase. Next week, folks, we got Dr. Anthony Muhammad will be in the building. Ooh. Good buddy of Ken. He'll be in the building next week this time. So be here. I'll be here, week 84. Next Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, Facebook Live, Sean Hurt, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Yours truly, myself, at 10:55. And then Sunday nights, Josh Tovar and the crew Unlock the Middle, Facebook Live, 7 o'clock. So, you know, we all promote each other. So make sure you check us out. Again, boom and boom. Get them both, right? Amazon, you know what it is. Get them both. And then This is Ken's most recent, but the Ruthless Equity is coming. So you can get it right now, starting a movement. Go to Amazon or go to his site at Unfold the Soul. Pick up your copy. Subscribe to the Virtual AP Leadership Academy YouTube channel. Make sure that you like and follow the Facebook page, Virtual AP Leadership Academy, so that you can check out the commentary tomorrow morning. Man, I got something on my mind I want to write. So follow that. It'll be up by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then make sure you're wearing those masks. Make sure that you're eating right, and make sure don't do like me and eat that extra slice of pie. Hey, Kim, you see the slice of pie, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm getting ready to, y'all, I'm getting ready to go outside and do 3 miles and bring that sugar count down, because I know it's up there right now. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself, eat right, get the exercise in, and we will see you next Saturday. And I forgot the bat, but Jefferson County, Ken, they gave me this, man.
I love it.
Got my name on it, Jennifer Jones, if you know her. She was the one that brought me in. So Ken Williams just hit the grand slam out of the park while I'm rocking my Satchel Paige Kansas City Monarchs jersey. Right? Don't have time to go into the history, but y'all seen me wear this before. So have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace.
Thank you, brother.
Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next week. Hang on in there, Ken, for a second.